The truck door opened even before the vehicle came to a complete stop. Ryan didn't even look back. He just pushed. The little dog, Honey, fell. Her body rolled twice on the dirt shoulder. The dust rose. The engine accelerated. She's good for nothing anymore anyway. His voice drifted out the open window, cold as the wind sweeping the road. The truck picked up speed. In seconds, it became just a distant speck around the bend. Honey tried to stand up. Her front paws trembled. They pushed against the ground, but her hind legs wouldn't obey. She fell again. Her snout hit the dry dirt. She tried again. She dragged her body, took 3 wobbly steps, stopped, looked at the empty road ahead. His scent was still in the air. The sound of the engine still echoed in the distance. She waited. She stood there in the middle of the shoulder with the sun beating down on her skinny back. She waited for him to return, because he always returned. Always. But the road remained empty. An interstate bus passed slowly around the curve. The driver swerved. A passenger at the window looked out. His eyes met hers for 2 seconds. He turned his face away. Poor thing, but I can't do anything. The words were lost inside the bus. The exhaust smoke covered Honey for a moment. When it cleared, she was still there, lying down now, too tired to try again. The old leather collar hung loosely around her neck. The rusty buckle gleamed faintly in the sun. There was a metal tag attached to it so worn that the letters were almost gone. Almost. But there was something in those brown eyes that told a story of loyalty nobody there knew. An 8-year story, of mornings waking up next to a child, of nights sleeping on the porch, of a home that simply vanished. The sun climbed fast in the cloudless sky. Honey closed her eyes. The road remained there, indifferent. Cars would pass. People would look. Some would feel pity. Others not even that. But what no one imagined at that moment was simple. That quiet, dusty road was about to witness something rare. Something most people have forgotten still exists in this world. An act of courage, of sacrifice, of love for no reason. And as the sun rose over the empty road, baking the asphalt and drying the dirt, that forgotten place out in the country prepared the stage for an encounter that would change everything. Forever. If you believe stories like this need to be told, subscribe now and turn on the notification bell. Because what comes next will touch your heart in a way you will never forget. But Honey wasn't always that abandoned figure on the shoulder. There was a time when she had a name, a home, a family. 8 years ago, on a December afternoon, a 6-year-old girl ran through the dirt yard holding a worn-out tennis ball. The little dog ran after her, tripping over her own clumsy paws. Still a puppy. "Fetch, Honey! Fetch!" Laura's voice echoed through the trees of the small property. Ryan watched from the porch, smiling. His wife brought out lemonade in a pitcher. It was simple. It was happy. Honey grew up there. She learned to bark when strangers approached the gate. She learned to lie at the foot of the table during dinner, waiting for something to drop. She learned that this was her place in the world. Every morning, she woke up with the sun. She followed Ryan to the chicken coop, walked back with him, lay on the porch while he drank his coffee. Laura would run down for school, always stopping to give her a quick pet on the head. "Bye, Honey. I'll be back soon." And Honey waited. Every day. Until Laura came back. For 8 years, that was her routine, her purpose, her whole life. The food bowl was always in the same corner of the kitchen. The old blanket, folded on the porch, was where she slept. The yard was her territory. The family was her world. But the world changes. Ryan got a job in the city. Better pay, better opportunity. His wife was excited. Laura was thrilled about the new school. They moved. Small apartment, 3rd floor, building with rules. No large pets allowed, the lease said. Honey stayed at the country house for 3 weeks. Ryan came back every 2 days to leave food and water. She waited. She barked when she heard the car engine. She ran to the gate. She thought they were finally coming to get her, but he always left alone. "Take it easy, Honey. We'll come back for you soon." The lie slipped easily from his mouth. Until one Saturday, Ryan arrived differently. Tense. Rushed. He opened the car door. "Get in, Honey. Let's go for a ride." She got in without hesitation. She always did. She always trusted. The car hit the dirt road. Honey rested her snout on the window like she always did. The wind blew in her face. Ryan drove in silence, kept his eyes on the road, didn't look at her. 10 miles later, he slowed down, pulled over on the shoulder, engine running, hand on the shifter. "You're just going to stay here for a few days, okay? Someone will come get you, I promise." He opened the back door. Honey stepped out, confused, looked around. She didn't know that place. Looked at him, waiting for a command. Waiting for, "Let's go." But Ryan got in the car, closed the door, sped off. Honey ran after him, barked, ran faster. But her 8 years weren't the same as before. Her paws hurt. She ran out of breath. She stopped in the middle of the road, watched the car disappear around the curve, stood there, waiting. Because dogs don't understand abandonment, they only understand loyalty. Her only crime was growing old. Her only mistake was trusting without limits, without questions, without doubts. She gave 8 years of unconditional love, of protection, of companionship, and received 10 miles of road in return. While Honey stayed there, lost and exhausted on that Saturday morning, another kind of loneliness existed 10 miles away. Joseph woke up just like he always did, alone. The big, empty house echoed his footsteps. 67 years old, a widower for 3, 2 kids in Chicago who called once a month maybe. He made coffee, sat at the table. The chair across from him remained empty. It always was. Mary had died right there, in that house. Cancer took 6 months to rip away what love had built over 40 years. Since then, Joseph simply existed. He woke up because his body woke up. He ate because he had to. He worked on the small farm because he didn't know how to do anything else. He watched TV at night without paying attention. He slept because exhaustion took over. Mark, his oldest son, called sometimes. "Dad, you should sell that place. Come live closer to here. There are some nice retirement communities." Joseph always gave the same answer. "Not yet, son, not yet." But he didn't know why he said no. There was no reason to stay. He just stayed. That morning, Joseph finished his coffee, grabbed the keys to his old truck. He had to go to the town market, buy the basics, feed for the chickens, something for him to eat during the week. He climbed into the truck, started the diesel engine that coughed before turning over, pulled slowly out the wooden gate, took the dirt road. The same road where, at that exact moment, Honey was lying under the rising sun, exhausted, lost, waiting for someone who would never come back. The metal tag on her collar swayed slightly in the warm breeze. The worn letters still spelled out 5 letters. Honey, a nearly erased name, a nearly forgotten story. But that Saturday morning, while Honey agonized under the unforgiving sun and Joseph drove unhurriedly down the dusty road, destiny was quietly stitching together an unlikely encounter between 2 lonely souls who didn't know they needed each other. The first car passed at 9:30 in the morning, a white sedan, new, clean, AC running, a young couple. He was driving, she was on her phone. The car slowed down. The woman looked out the window, saw the landscape, the mountains in the background, the perfect morning light. "Pull over there, babe. I want to take a picture." He pulled over on the shoulder, 15 feet ahead of Honey. The woman stepped out, fixed her hair, held up her phone, smiled, clicked 3 times, turned her back to the road, to the dog lying behind her. "Babe, let's go? It's too hot out here." They got in the car, the doors shut with a muffled modern sound. The AC kicked back on. They drove away. Honey didn't even lift her head. Half an hour later, a motorcyclist stopped to drink some water, took off his helmet, opened his bottle, gulped down half of it at once. That was when he saw her. He frowned, took 2 steps toward her, stopped, looked around, empty road, nobody nearby, looked at his bike, at the bottle in his hand, at the dog. Poor thing. He took a deep breath. "But I have no way to help right now." He finished his water, tossed the empty bottle into his backpack, put his helmet on, revved the engine, The dust covered Honey for a few seconds. The third was a truck driver. Stopped to check his tires. Saw Honey from a distance. Grabbed a half-empty water bottle from the seat. Looked at her. Looked at the bottle. Tossed the bottle 10 feet away from her. "Go drink, mutt." He didn't get closer. Climbed into the cab. Started the engine. Drove off. The bottle stayed there. Too close for Honey to ignore. Too far for her to reach. At noon, a car full of teenagers sped by. Loud music. Laughter. Windows rolled down. One of them saw Honey. "Look over there. Must be taking a nap." Laughter. The car sped up even more. The music faded away little by little. The fifth was a traveling salesman on a bicycle. Pedaling slowly. Boxes tied to the back. Sweat dripping down his forehead. He rode right past Honey. Looked. His eyes met hers. He shook his head. Everyone has their own problems. Kept pedaling. Slowly. Steady. Without looking back. Indifference doesn't need words. It hides in the averted gaze, in the quickening pace, in the excuse that builds itself. More cars passed. A red pickup slowed down. The driver saw Honey, frowned, thought about stopping. But he had an appointment. He was in a hurry. He had his own worries. He sped up again. A cab drove by, a rideshare car, an empty school van heading back to town. They all saw. None of them stopped. Rich, middle class, poor. It didn't matter. Indifference was democratic. It didn't pick social classes, didn't pick ages, didn't pick anything at all. It simply existed. Among those who passed was Joseph. His old truck rumbled down the road. He was coming back from the market, 2 bags on the seat, chicken feed, bread, eggs, coffee. He was in a hurry. The cattle needed feeding, the chickens too. He was already running late, but something made him look at the shoulder. Maybe it was the sun reflecting off the metal tag. Maybe the contrast of the light fur against the dark dirt. Maybe just instinct. He saw her. He slowed down. He checked his rearview mirror. The road behind him was empty. No one coming, no one waiting. He could keep going. He should keep going. But his foot hesitated on the gas pedal. 13 people had passed down that road that morning. 13. They all had their reasons, their appointments, their lives to live. And when the 14th old truck appeared slowly around the curve, with its tired diesel engine and its 67-year-old driver, something was about to change. Because sometimes, all that separates indifference from compassion is a single choice. A choice that only one person in 14 has the courage to make. Joseph stepped on the brakes. The truck came to a slow stop, engine running, hand on the wheel, eyes in the mirror. He stayed there, parked, thinking. He could drive on, he could pretend he didn't see, he could do what 13 people had done before him, but he didn't. He shifted into reverse. The truck backed up about 20 yards, stopped right next to Honey. Joseph turned off the engine. The silence of the road took over everything. Just the wind, just the cicadas, just the heat rippling in the hot air. He sat there, looking out the window. Honey was lying on her side, motionless, eyes closed, her chest rising and falling slowly. Too slowly. How long had she been there? An hour? 2? 3? The sun was already high, very high. Noon was approaching, and with it, the killer heat. Joseph checked the clock on the dash. 11:40. The cattle were waiting. The chickens, too. He was late. I can't. He talked to himself. Low voice. I can barely take care of myself. How am I going to take care of... He stopped mid-sentence. Honey opened her eyes. Slowly. Turned her head toward him. Just turned it. Didn't lift it. Didn't have the strength for that. Their eyes met. And Joseph saw. He saw something he didn't expect to see. It wasn't a plea. It wasn't desperation. It was just exhaustion. A silent acceptance. Like she had already given up. Like she was just waiting for the end. Joseph knew that look. He had seen it in the mirror every day for the past 3 years. He took a deep breath. Looked away. Looked straight ahead. At the empty road. At the steering wheel in his hands. He could drive away. He still could. But then he remembered waking up alone, eating alone, sitting at that empty table every night, talking to himself just to hear a voice in the house. He remembered the last thing Mary ever said to him. "Joseph, promise me one thing. Promise me you won't give up on living. Promise." He had promised, but he hadn't kept it, because for the last 3 years he hadn't lived. He only existed. Joseph opened the door. The squeak of rust broke the silence. He stepped out. His old boots hit the dry dirt, kicked up dust. He walked slowly. His back complained, his knees too. He stopped beside Honey, crouched down. It wasn't easy. 67 years old was unforgiving. He reached out his hand, slowly. Honey didn't move, didn't even try, just watched. Joseph touched her head. Her fur was hot. Too hot, dusty, rough. "Easy, girl." His voice came out hoarse, choked up. "Today you found someone who cares." He ran his hand down her body. Skinny, so skinny. Felt her ribs, the protruding bones, the uneven breathing. He looked around. Water bottle tossed 10 feet away. He stood up with difficulty, went to get it, came back, opened it, poured a little into the palm of his hand, brought it to her snout. Honey licked it, slowly, weak, but she licked it. Joseph poured more. She drank again. That's it. Slow, slow. He looked at her hind leg, saw the weird shape, the wrong angle. Didn't need to be a vet to know. She wasn't going to be able to walk. He'd have to carry her. Joseph looked at his own truck, at the bags on the seat, at Honey on the ground, looked at the sky. "Mary," he whispered, "if you're listening to me, give me strength." He slid his arms under her body. Honey whimpered softly, not from pain, from fear, from confusion. "I know, girl. I know. But trust me. Just this once. Trust me." He strained. His back screamed, his knees protested. But he stood up with her in his arms, walked to the truck. Every step cost him. Every step hurt. Opened the passenger door with difficulty. Placed Honey on the seat. She laid down. Exhausted, Joseph grabbed the old coat from the back seat, covered her up. "There, now you're safe." He closed the door, walked around, got in, started the engine, looked at Honey beside him. She had already closed her eyes again. He put his hand on her head, just for a second. "You're not dying today." He put it in gear. The old truck pulled back onto the road, slowly, dodging potholes, avoiding bumps. Joseph drove with one hand, kept the other firm on the seat so Honey wouldn't slide off. The cattle could wait. The chickens could wait. Because for the first time in 3 years, Joseph had something more important to do than just exist. He had someone to save. And by saving her, maybe, just maybe, he could save himself too. The house was 8 miles away, at the end of a dirt road that led nowhere. A big house, old, well kept but empty. Joseph parked out front, turned off the engine, sat there for a moment, looked at Honey. She was breathing, still breathing. Now what? He talked to himself, like he always did. 67 years old, a widower for 3, alone ever since, completely alone. His kids lived in Chicago. Mark, the oldest, worked at a bank. The youngest, Rachel, got married and had 2 kids Joseph barely knew. They called once in a while, always brief, always in a rush. "Hi, Dad, everything okay?" "Great, here too. We'll talk later." Later never came. Joseph got out of the truck. Every movement hurt. His back, his knees. Age collected its toll every single day. He opened the passenger door. Honey opened her eyes, looked at him. "Come on, girl, you're home now." He slid his arms under her again, lifted, let out a soft groan. Not her. Him. He carried her into the house. The living room was quiet. It always was, the curtains half drawn, the light filtered, the smell of an old house and ancient memories. He laid Honey on the couch. She stayed down without resisting, too exhausted for anything, Joseph just stood there, looking at her, at the situation. "What have I done?" he whispered. Picked up the phone, dialed Mark's number. It rang again. Voicemail. "Hi, Mark. It's Dad. Nothing major. I'll call you back later." He hung up, kept staring at the phone, at Honey, back at the phone. He called his neighbor, Mr. Arthur. He picked up on the third ring. "Hello? Arthur, it's Joseph." "Hey, Joe, everything all right? Listen, I picked up a dog on the road. She was abandoned. Hurt. I brought her home." Silence on the other end. "Joseph, are you serious?" "I am." "Man, do you know how much a vet costs? Meds, dog food?" "I know. And can you afford it, with the situation at the farm?" Joseph took a deep breath. "I can afford to be human, Arthur. That much I can." More silence. "All right, Joe. You're crazy, but all right. Good luck." He hung up. Joseph tossed the phone onto the couch, rubbed his face, looked around. The house, too big for one person, too empty to be called a home. Every morning he woke up alone, made coffee alone, sat at the table alone. The chair across from him always empty. Always. Mary used to sit there, every day for 40 years, drank her coffee slowly, talked about her plans for the day, smiled, and then the cancer came. 6 months. It was fast, brutal. She died right there, in that house, in the next room. And Joseph carried on, because he didn't know how to do anything else. Mark called every now and then. "Dad, sell that house. Come live near here. There are some good assisted living places. You don't need to stay out there alone." But Joseph always said no, because that house held Mary in every corner. And if he left, he'd lose even that. So he stayed. Woke up because his body woke up. Ate because he had to. Worked because the routine demanded it. Slept because the day ended. 3 years like this. 1,095 days of existing, not living, until that morning. Joseph looked at Honey on the couch. She was looking back at him, weak, confused, but looking. He crouched next to her. His back complained again. "I barely know how to take care of myself, you know." He spoke softly. "It's been 3 years since I had a reason to wake up excited. 3 years since this house had any noise in it, since I took care of anybody." He stroked her head, slowly. "But maybe we need each other, you think?" Honey closed her eyes under his touch, and Joseph understood something in that moment. Maybe he hadn't picked up this dog by chance. Maybe chance didn't exist. Maybe God, or destiny, or Mary up there, had placed this dog on his road. Not for him to save her, but for her to save him too. Joseph stood up, grabbed the phone again, called the town's veterinary clinic. "Hello? Dr. Paul? It's Joseph. I need some help." And with that fragile weight now resting on the couch of his empty house, Joseph made the decision that would save not one, but 2 lives on that Saturday, even without imagining yet how that would happen. Thousands of people are watching this video right now. Many of them are from your city. Leave your city's name in the comments and discover who your neighbors are that also believe in unconditional love. Dr. Paul answered on the second ring. "Good Hope Veterinary Clinic." "Dr. Paul, it's Joseph Ferreira, from the farm at the end of the road." "Yes, Mr. Joseph, what happened?" Joseph looked at Honey on the couch. "I found an abandoned dog on the road. She's hurt, her back leg. I think it's broken or sprained. She's very weak, way too skinny. I don't know what to do. Can you bring her in?" Joseph looked out the window. The afternoon was fading, looked at the wallet in his pocket. Knew exactly how much he had. $25. "Doctor, right now I can't afford an appointment, but I promise I will." "Mr. Joseph, listen, I'll walk you through it over the phone right now, all right? First, tell me, is she conscious?" "Yes, eyes open, but very weak." "How's her breathing?" "Fast, panting. Room temperature?" "Warm. The house is warm." "So first, water, but just a little. Slowly. Don't let her drink too much all at once. Her stomach might not handle it. Do you have a small bowl there? Joseph went to the kitchen, grabbed a deep bowl, filled it halfway. I do. Put it near her. Let her drink at her own pace. Joseph set it on the floor by the couch. Honey lifted her head, sniffed, drank, 2 laps, stopped, 2 more, stopped again. She's drinking slowly. Great. That's good. Now, food. Do you have eggs? Joseph opened the fridge. The 2 grocery bags were still on the seat of the truck. He only had 3 old eggs in there, and a piece of bread. I have 3 eggs. Make a plain omelet. No salt, no seasoning. Just the egg. Let it cool down completely. Give her small pieces, slowly as well. Joseph turned on the stove, cracked the 3 eggs into the skillet, scrambled them, waited for them to cook. The smell filled the kitchen. Honey lifted her head, sniffed the air. Easy, girl. It's coming. It's coming. Joseph took it off the heat, put it on a plate, waited for it to cool. Meanwhile, he went out to the truck, grabbed the bags, came back. He sat on the floor next to the couch. His back complained, knees too. But he sat, pinched off a tiny piece of the eggs, reached out his hand. Honey sniffed it, hesitated, looked at him, looked at the food. Go ahead, girl, it's yours. All yours. She took it from his hand, slowly, chewed, swallowed. Joseph gave her another piece. She took it, faster this time. He shared half the eggs with her, small pieces, slowly, just like the doctor ordered. He ate the other half, with the stale bread. Honey looked at him with every bite, as if asking, can I have more? You can, girl, you can. When it was gone, he picked up the phone again. Doctor? She ate, drank some water too. Excellent, Mr. Joseph. Now tell me about the leg. Joseph examined it carefully. Honey whimpered softly when he touched it. She complains when I touch it. It's swollen, but I don't see any exposed bone. Could be a sprain, could be a hairline fracture. Can she put weight on it? No. Then let's splint it lightly. Do you have a clean cloth? A towel? Joseph looked around, stood up, went to the bedroom, opened the closet. There lay Mary's towels, folded, stored away for 3 years. They smelled like mothballs and longing. He grabbed one, light blue, her favorite, headed back to the living room. I do. Make a makeshift splint. Wrap it gently around the leg, just to immobilize it. Tomorrow morning, if you can, bring her in. We'll take a proper look. I'll find a way, Doctor. I promise. I know you will, Mr. Joseph. Now, one last thing. Make a comfortable bed for her. A big cardboard box with some blankets. Keep it in a cool spot, and keep an eye on her breathing overnight. Call me if anything happens. My cell number is on the card I gave you last year. Thank you, Doctor. Thank you so much. Don't mention it, Mr. Joseph. You're doing the right thing. They hung up. Joseph rigged the splint with Mary's towel, tied it gently. Honey let him, barely complained, as if she understood he was helping. Then, he looked for a box, found a big one in the shed, brought it to the living room, put an old blanket inside, lifted Honey off the couch, placed her in the box. She settled in, sighed, closed her eyes. Joseph sat on the floor next to her, stayed there, watching. That was when he noticed the collar. Old, worn, dusty. He unbuckled it slowly. Honey didn't even react. Let him do it. Joseph took it to the sink, scrubbed it with dish soap, rubbed it. The water ran brown. He scrubbed more. Slowly the leather started to show again, and the metal tag too. He held it up to the light. 5 letters engraved, almost faded away, but still legible. Honey. Honey, he whispered. Walked back to the living room, sat next to her again. So it's Honey, huh? Pretty name. My Mary loved Honey too. Used to put it in her tea every night. His voice cracked. He held the collar in his hands. Honey's in one. Mary's in his memory in the other. A tear rolled down, silent. Oh, Mary. I don't know if I'm doing this right. I don't know if I can handle it. But I couldn't leave her there. I just couldn't. Honey opened her eyes, looked at him. And for the first time since he had picked her up, she lifted her front paw, touched his hand, slowly. It wasn't much. It wasn't a grand gesture, but it was enough. Joseph held her paw, squeezed it gently. We're going to be okay, you hear me? I don't know how, but we will. Night fell. Joseph threw together some dinner, rice, one leftover egg, shared it with Honey again. She ate better this time. He washed the dishes, turned off the lights, went to his bedroom. But he couldn't sleep. Got up, went back to the living room. Honey was awake too, looking at the door, waiting for him. Joseph grabbed a pillow, lay on the floor next to her box. I'm going to stay right here, okay? I'm not leaving you alone. He slipped his hand inside the box. Honey rested her snout on it. And for the first time in 3 years, Joseph wasn't alone in the silence of that house. But he didn't know yet that her recovery would take weeks, that the challenges were just beginning, that every single day would test his determination to the limit, and that this decision would cost more than he imagined. But that night, lying on the cold living room floor with his hand inside a cardboard box, Joseph slept differently. He slept with a purpose. The next morning came early. Joseph woke up on the living room floor, back stiff, knees locked up, stood up with difficulty. Honey was awake, looking at him. Good morning, girl. He got some more food ready, more water. She ate, drank. At 7 a.m., Joseph put Honey back in the truck, drove to town, got to Dr. Paul's clinic. The exam was quick, the diagnosis too. Severe sprain in the back leg. Needs to stay immobilized for at least 6 weeks. Anti-inflammatories, vitamin supplements. She's severely malnourished, Mr. Joseph. How much is it going to be, Doc? Dr. Paul did the math on a piece of paper. Consultation, meds, supplements, special food for the next 2 weeks. It comes out to $250. Joseph swallowed hard. He had $25 in his pocket. Doctor, can I pay in installments? Or, I have chickens. I can bring eggs. Or... Dr. Paul looked at him, at Honey, back at him. Mr. Joseph, you pay me when you can. No rush. Right now, this dog needs treatment. Joseph closed his eyes, took a deep breath. Thank you, doctor. I swear I'll pay you. I know you will. Joseph went back home with Honey and a bag full of medicine, and a $250 debt he had no way to pay. That afternoon, Mr. Arthur, the neighbor, showed up at the gate. Joseph, came to see this crazy thing you've done. Joseph showed him Honey in her makeshift box. Arthur shook his head. Man, you know this is going to wear you out, right? 67 years old, Joe. 67. I know how old I am, Arthur. And do you know how much a dog costs to keep? Food, meds, vet bills? I know. Then why? Joseph looked at Honey. She was looking back. Because I can. Arthur sighed. You've always been stubborn. But deep down in his eyes there was something different. It wasn't approval, but it wasn't pity anymore either. Over the next few days, Joseph's routine flipped entirely. Before, he'd wake up at 7. Now he woke up at 5. Honey needed meds every 6 hours, food every 4, constant water. He worked twice as hard. Fed the cattle earlier, took care of the chickens faster. Raced back home to give Honey her medicine. Ate lunch standing up. When he ate lunch, slept 5 hours a night. When he slept, in 1 week he lost 5 pounds. In 2, 10. Money started getting tight. Joseph had 12 chickens. Sold 8 to the town butcher, $80. Used it to pay off part of his debt with Dr. Paul. Bought dog food for Honey. Had $20 left over. Ate once a day, sometimes not even that. Split his food with Honey. I already ate, girl. This is all yours. A lie, but she didn't know. Mark called on a Thursday. Dad, Mr. Arthur called me. Said you picked up a stray dog off the road. I did. Dad, can you really afford to take care of a dog? Joseph looked at Honey sleeping in her box. I can afford to be human, son. That much I can. But Dad, Mark, I know you're worried, but I need to do this. I need to. Silence on the other end. All right, Dad, but if you need anything, call me. All right. But Joseph wouldn't call. He never called. By the third week, the bank called. Mr. Joseph Ferreira? Yes. The $600 mortgage payment on the rural property is 15 days past due. You have until the end of the month to settle it. Joseph looked at his wallet. He had $20. He'd sold the chickens. Had nothing else to sell. Nothing he could sell fast. I'll take care of it. Don't worry. Otherwise, sir, we will initiate the foreclosure process. I understand. He hung up, sat at the kitchen table, put his head in his hands. $600, 20 in his pocket. He was 580 short, and he still had to buy food, meds, kibble. What do I do, Mary? He talked to himself, like he always did. Honey dragged herself from the living room into the kitchen. Still couldn't walk right, but she dragged herself, rested her snout on his leg. Joseph looked down at those brown eyes. I'm not giving up on you, hear me? Even if I lose everything, I'm not doing it. But the challenges didn't stop. In the fourth week, Honey stopped eating. Joseph offered her food in the morning. She sniffed it, turned her head away, offered it again at lunch. She didn't even look. By nightfall, Joseph panicked, called Dr. Paul. Midnight. The vet answered, groggy. Doc, she's not eating. It's been 2 days. What do I do? Could be nausea from the meds, or an infection starting up. I'll prescribe an antibiotic and a different supplement. How much is it? $80. Joseph had 20. I'll figure it out, doctor. Come by first thing tomorrow. We'll work it out. Joseph hung up, looked around. The television, old, but it worked. The next day he sold it to his neighbor for $75, borrowed another $5. Joe, you're going crazy. Maybe, but I need this money. He bought the antibiotic, the supplement, went back home, gave Honey the medicine, waited. That night, she ate. A little, but she ate. Joseph sat on the floor and cried. Cried from relief, from exhaustion, from fear, because he was giving everything he had, and he still didn't know if it would be enough. The weeks passed slowly, heavy. Joseph woke up at 5, slept at midnight, worked 12 hours, ate once, sometimes not at all. The neighbors talked. Old Joe's different. Lost way too much weight. Word is he's taking care of a dog. At his age, he's crazy. But Joseph didn't care, didn't listen, didn't stop. Because every morning when he woke up, Honey was there, looking at him, waiting for him. And every night when he lay on the floor next to her box, she rested her snout on his hand, and that was worth more than a TV, more than chickens, more than comfort. In the 6th week, the bank called again. Mr. Joseph, final notice. Tomorrow is the deadline. Joseph had $400. He was almost $200 short. He sat on the kitchen floor that night, alone, exhausted, broken. Honey dragged herself over to him, rested her head on his knee, and he understood. Giving up wasn't an option. Never was. Because for the past 42 days, he hadn't just taken care of Honey. He had remembered what it was like to wake up with a purpose, what it was like to have someone depending on him, what it was like to feel that his life mattered. And that night, when despair threatened to break everything, when it seemed there was no way out, something inside him refused to cave. Mary, I don't know how, but I'll figure it out. Honey pressed her head harder against him, and Joseph knew, even without understanding how, that he wasn't alone in that fight, that he never had been. 10 weeks later, the house woke up differently. Joseph opened his eyes at 5:30, but not because the alarm went off, because something wet and warm licked his face. Honey. She was standing next to the bed, putting weight on all 4 paws, wagging her tail. Good morning, girl. Joseph smiled. It had been a long time since he'd smiled right after waking up. He stood up. His back still hurt, knees too, but they hurt less, or maybe he just didn't care anymore. Honey followed him to the kitchen, walking, not dragging, walking. Her back leg had a slight limp. It always would. But she walked, ran even, not fast, but she ran. Joseph made coffee, poured kibble into her bowl. She ate with an appetite, drank water, walked back to his side, sat at the foot of his chair, looking at him, always looking. "What is it? Want a little piece?" He broke off a piece of bread, gave it to her. Honey took it gently, chewed, waited for more. "You're playing me for a fool, aren't you? Getting whatever you want." But he was smiling. Smiling because he could. Joseph looked at her. Really looked. 10 weeks ago she was skin and bones. Lifeless fur. Empty stare. Bedridden. Without the strength for anything. Now, gained 15 pounds back. Shiny, soft, clean fur. Bright, alert, curious eyes. She followed him everywhere. Barked when someone approached the gate. Slept at the foot of his bed every single night. And whenever Joseph sat down, she lay down right next to his feet. Always. No exceptions. After coffee, Joseph went to feed the cattle. Honey went with him, limping, but right alongside. He went to the chicken coop. She went too. Waited at the door. He headed back to the house. She led the way. "You're the boss around here now, aren't you?" Honey wagged her tail, as if she understood. At 10 a.m., Mr. Arthur showed up at the gate. "Joseph, just dropping by to—" "Well, I'll be damned." He stopped, staring at Honey. She was on the porch, sitting up, alert, looking at him. "Is that the same dog?" "It is. But she was dying, Joe. I saw her when you brought her in." "She was. She's not anymore." Arthur walked in. Honey barked once, stopped when Joseph gave the signal. "Easy, girl. He's a friend." Arthur approached, reached out his hand. Honey sniffed it, let him pet her. Incredible. She's a whole new dog. And so are you, Joe. "Me? You're different. More alive, I guess. Haven't seen you like this in a long time." Joseph didn't answer, just looked at Honey. Maybe Arthur was right, because Joseph wasn't just existing anymore. He was living again. The following week, Mark showed up unannounced. Saturday morning, car in the driveway. Joseph was on the porch, Honey by his side. "Dad!" "Mark? What are you doing here?" "Came to visit. It's been a while." Mark stepped onto the porch, looked at Honey. Honey looked at him. "Is this the famous one?" "Yeah, this is Honey." Mark crouched down. Honey sniffed. Let him pet her. "She's beautiful, Dad." "She is." Mark looked at Joseph, really looked. "Dad, it's been a long time since I've seen that spark in your eyes." Joseph looked away, embarrassed. "Nonsense." "It's not nonsense, Dad. You're different, better." They sat talking on the porch. Half an hour, Honey lying between the two of them. When Mark left, he gave Joseph a tight hug. "Dad, I was wrong. This dog, she was good for you." "She was." "I'll come around more often, I promise." And Joseph believed him, because something had changed. Not just in him, in everything. That afternoon, Joseph went into town, walked into the feed store. Charlie, the owner, looked at him. "Mr. Joseph, hey there, how's that dog doing?" "She's good, all healed up." That's great, that's great. What do you need today?" "I wanted a collar, a good one, sturdy." Charlie showed him the options. Joseph picked out a red one, tough, nice looking. "This one right here." Paid for it, went back home, sat on the living room floor. Honey walked over to him, sat right in front. Joseph took off the old collar, the one she was wearing when he found her. Dirty, worn out, torn, but it had the tag, with the name, Honey. He took the tag off the old collar, clipped it onto the new one. "There we go, girl. New collar, but the name stays, because it's always been yours." He put it on her. Honey wagged her tail. Joseph tucked the old collar away in a drawer. He wasn't going to throw it out. It was part of her story, of their story. That night, Joseph ate dinner at the table, not on the floor, not standing up, sitting down, like a person. Honey lay at his feet, like she always did. And Joseph realized something. The house wasn't quiet anymore. It had the sound of Honey's paws on the floor. It had the sound of her drinking water. It had the sound of her sighing as she lay down. It had life. Joseph looked at the empty chair across from him. Mary's chair. And for the first time in 3 years, he smiled at her. "Oh, Mary, look who came to keep me company. You were right. I can't give up on living. Honey lifted her head, looked at him, as if she understood. Joseph finished dinner, washed the dishes, went into the living room, sat on the couch. Honey hopped up next to him, rested her head on his lap. And there, in that simple moment on an ordinary night, Joseph understood. He had saved Honey, but Honey had saved him too, gave him purpose, gave him routine, gave him companionship, gave him a reason to wake up, to fight, to live. But what Joseph couldn't imagine was that Honey still had one last surprise in store, a surprise that would prove gratitude goes far beyond words, that loyalty is repaid with loyalty, and that true love always finds a way to give back. And on a late night during a heavy storm, when the wind would shake the windows and the rain would pour down violently, something would happen that would change everything between them forever. Something that would prove that on that dirt road, 10 weeks ago, two destinies didn't meet by chance. They met on purpose. 3 weeks later, in the early hours of a Thursday, the storm hit. Joseph woke up to the noise, thunder cracking the sky, rain beating hard against the roof, wind rattling the windows. Looked at the clock. 2:15 in the morning. Honey was lying at the foot of the bed, awake too, looking at the window. It's just a storm, girl. Go back to sleep. He rolled over, closed his eyes. Exhaustion won out quickly. He went back to sleep. Half an hour later, the wind tore loose an old electrical wire from the side of the house. The wire fell near the living room window. Sparks, small ones, quick ones. One landed on the old curtain. The curtain started to burn, slowly, silently. Honey lifted her head, sniffed the air, stood up, jumped off the bed, went to the bedroom door, sniffed under the crack. Smoke. Ran back, barked. Joseph didn't wake up. She barked louder, more persistently. Joseph shifted, rolled over, but didn't wake up. Honey jumped on the bed, barked right by his ear, loud, desperate. Honey, what is it, girl? It's just thunder. She yanked the sheet with her teeth, pulled, barked again. Joseph opened his eyes, confused. Honey, what? That was when he smelled it. The smell. Smoke. He sat up in bed, heart raced, looked at the door. An orange glow was flickering underneath it. My God. He got up, ran to the door, opened it. The living room was in flames, the curtain burning, the fire crawling up the wall, the smoke filling the ceiling. Joseph ran to the kitchen, grabbed the old fire extinguisher under the sink, ran back, aimed, squeezed. The white spray covered the flames. He emptied the whole extinguisher. Every last drop. The fire died. Only the smoke remained, and the smell, and the silence after the adrenaline. Joseph let the extinguisher drop to the floor. His legs gave out. He leaned back against the wall. Honey walked over to him, pressed her body against his. Joseph fell to his knees, trembling, hugged her, tight. You saved me. His voice came out broken, choked with tears. Good God Almighty, you saved me, he cried, holding on to her, in the middle of the burnt living room. Under the smoke that was still rising, he cried because he understood. If she hadn't woken him up, if she hadn't insisted, if she hadn't pulled the sheet, he wouldn't be there. In the morning, the town's volunteer firefighter came to check on things. Mr. Arthur had called when he saw the smoke from afar. The firefighter examined everything. The burnt wall, the destroyed curtain, the fallen wire. Mr. Joseph, if that fire had spread for 10 more minutes, the whole house would have gone up, and you with it. Joseph looked at Honey. She looked back. It was her. She woke me up. The firefighter looked at the dog, petted her on the head. Then this dog saved your life, Mr. Joseph. She owed you her life, but she paid her debt. That afternoon, Mark came running in. Mr. Arthur had called him. Dad, are you okay? I am, son, I'm fine. Mark hugged him, tight, looked at Honey. Was it her? It was. Mark fell to his knees, hugged Honey. The dog licked his face. Thank you, girl. Thank you for saving my dad. Over the following days, the news spread through the small town. Old Joe, the dog he saved, the dog that saved him back. The neighbors talked, but not with pity, with admiration. Did you hear? Joseph's dog saved his life. I always knew that would work out. A good heart always gets rewarded. On Monday, Mr. Arthur showed up with an envelope. Joseph, we put together a little fundraiser. Me, the folks at church, some neighbors. We gathered $800 to help you with the house and the bank. Joseph was speechless. Arthur, no need to thank us. You did the right thing, and life paid you back double. Joseph paid off his bank debt, bought supplies to fix the wall, even had a little left over. Mark started visiting every weekend, brought his wife, the grandkids. Kids Joseph barely knew were now running around the yard, playing with Honey. The house had noise again. It had life. It had a purpose. And every night when Joseph went to bed, Honey would hop up on the bed, lay at his feet, and he would hold her paw for a second. Thank you, girl, for everything. Because ever since that day on the road, everything had changed. The farmer who no longer had a reason to wake up now had all the reasons in the world. And the dog who had been tossed aside like trash now had a home, a name, a purpose. Joseph took the old collar out of the drawer, looked at it, looked at Honey wearing her new one. You had a name, girl, but you didn't have a home. Now you have both, forever. Honey wagged her tail, and that morning, sitting on the porch with Honey by his side and hot coffee in his mug, Joseph understood something profound. Life hadn't ended 3 years ago. It was just waiting for the right dog, for the right moment, for the right purpose. Loneliness doesn't live in the absence of people. It lives in the absence of purpose. And sometimes purpose arrives on 4 paws, with a history of abandonment and a heart ready to love again. 13 people passed down that road that Saturday morning. 13. They all had their reasons, their appointments, their lives to live. The couple in the white sedan had AC and a phone full of pictures. The motorcyclist was in a hurry and had a water bottle. The truck driver had deliveries to make. The kids had loud music and easy laughter. They all had more resources than Joseph. More free time, more health, more money in their pockets. But only a 67-year-old man, a widower for 3 years, with $25 in his pocket and an empty house waiting for him, had the courage to stop. And by saving a life, he saved his own too. Today, Joseph wakes up early because he wants to, not because he has to. Honey keeps him company in everything. The house has the sound of paws on the floor. It has barking when someone arrives. It has life. Mark visits every weekend, brings the grandkids. The kids run around the yard, play with Honey, call Joseph Grandpa. The neighbors greet him with genuine respect. The small town talks about the story with pride. Old Joe and the dog who saved each other. Honey still walks with that slight limp. Joseph's back still complains every morning. But now, neither of them wakes up alone. And that is worth infinitely more than anything those 13 people carried with them that day. And you? If you were driving down that road that Saturday morning, would you be person number 14? Or would you be just another one of the 13 who kept going? Stop. See. Act. There are thousands of Josephs and Honeys waiting out there, alone, without a purpose, never crossing paths. And maybe, just maybe, this story reaches someone who needs to hear that it's never too late. That loneliness can be cured, that helping someone is helping yourself too. An empty road, a body lying on the shoulder, and a simple choice. That was all it was. A single choice that transformed everything, forever. Honey still has that red collar with the old tag clipped to it. Joseph still keeps Mary's picture on his nightstand. But now, next to the picture, there's a water bowl, a dog bed, a purpose. And every night, when the house finally goes quiet and the lights go out, Joseph rests his hand on Honey's head. Good night, girl. See you tomorrow. And she presses her snout into his hand. Because true love doesn't need words. It only needs presence. And sometimes, the presence that saves your life arrives on a dusty road with 4 paws, a broken heart, and a second chance. I realized something that gives me chills to this day. Joseph didn't just save a dog on that road. He saved himself from a silent death called loneliness. It makes me believe that sometimes God places a fragile being in our path not because they need us, but because we need them. I saw two broken hearts find each other and fix one another, and I understood that true love doesn't pick a species, doesn't measure value, doesn't calculate returns. It simply happens. And when it happens, it transforms everything.